Hello and welcome to Arts and Culture Houston, a show dedicated to highlighting some of the most incredible and fabulous cultural events and arts happenings in our city. I'm your host, Minette Basil. Today's episode is going to include a conversation with the Honorable former Mayor Annise Parker regarding Houston's arts and cultural plan. We will also look at the artwork in the International Terminal at Hobby International Airport. And finally, an interview with Gonzo 24/7, a local artist who created HueFest, a mural festival located throughout Houston, but primarily east of downtown in an area called Edo. Mayor Parker has been a tireless advocate for arts and culture in our city, an avid bibliophile, a poet, and former co-owner of a bookstore called Inklings. Mayor Parker recognizes that enhancing our arts and cultural offerings is also an economic driver and adds to Houston's global image. A little over a year ago, at the direction of the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs launched an arts and cultural plan process. Many cities across the nation have cultural plans in place. Our process has involved engaging the citizens of Houston using various methods, both online and in person, to hear their voices and ideas. Today we are thrilled to host a special edition of the show in which we will be discussing the Houston Arts and Cultural Plan. We are honored to have a very special guest, our Mayor of Houston, Annise Parker. Welcome, Mayor, and thank you for being on the Arts and Culture Show Houston. We are also joined today by Allison Robin and Zachary Gresham, who are in the master's program at the Arts Leadership Program at the University of Houston. And you all have been working very hard over the last year as interns with us to help us do research and all kinds of data building for our Arts and Cultural Plan. And we thank you for that. I'm going to turn this over to the two of you to ask the Mayor a few questions.
Well, thank you, Minette. And thank you, Mayor Parker, for being here with us today. You recently received the National Award for Local Arts Leadership by the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the Americans for the Arts. How would you personally describe the role a mayor should play in the leadership and support of the arts in a community like Houston?
A mayor is the public face and voice of a city. A mayor needs to be able to articulate the big picture for her citizens. And part of the big picture of Houston is that we're a wonderful, vibrant arts community, and we need to embrace that and support the arts. Now, arts are big business. Arts are an important element that the creative young people that we want to move to Houston are interested in, and arts are something that enhance the experience for everyone who lives here, but also for the people who visit here. So for all of those reasons, it's important to have a strong and vibrant arts community. And the mayor has to support the arts, but understand the impact of the arts in that particular city.
Cool. Thank you for that. So my question is, the city's in the process of undergoing and wrapping up multiple plans. So a general plan that most people are probably pretty familiar with, as well as...
We're kind of doing a frenzy of planning. A bike master plan, cultural plan, the general plan, the first ever general plan. Well, now we've had a cultural plan, we've had a bike plan. The general plan was brand new, and we just passed the general plan. Thank goodness.
Congratulations.
In a city that is so quickly growing and so sprawling and no zoning, planning is essential, which is why the general plan was so important. I think we need a general plan more than in cities that have strict zoning rules. But we do all sorts of, we have a library master plan, we have a major thoroughfare master plan. Planning tells us, well, you have to know where you want to go, and then planning helps you get there. And so when you update a a cultural plan like the cities of Houston, we started from where do we want to go? Let's have the conversation with the community. And there had been some previous looks at deficits in our arts funding across the city of Houston. I'm going to wind that back. I don't want it to be about arts funding, about the arts. And when we started formally drafting the new cultural plan, I said from the beginning, don't talk about funding, talk about where you want to be, talk about the vision, and then we figure out how to do the funding. But what we saw is that we have some great large arts organizations that are supported by amazing philanthropists, and they're fairly rich. And then we have a very vibrant small arts, individual artists community, not much in the middle, not a real clear path for organizations to grow. And because the state of Texas has really stopped funding arts education in our schools, not a lot of places for young people who are really excited by the arts to go and get that education. And then we also heard from the neighborhoods of the city and the council members of the desire we want more arts in the neighborhoods. It shouldn't be about downtown and the big concert and the concert halls and the big organizations. The arts should be for everybody. And so this new cultural plan takes all of those different ideas and seeks to weave them together into a comprehensive plan that helps us then move forward.
How do you really think this plan reflects our community and its unique needs? Houston is very unique, as they say.
We're arguably the most diverse city in the United States, and so our cultural plan, it's an arts and cultural plan, I should say. We talk about the cultural plan, we talk about the arts plan, and I keep mentioning the arts, but it's an arts and cultural plan. And when you are such a diverse city, part of what you have to offer is respect for the various cultural and artistic traditions of an amazingly diverse population from all over the world. So there has to be a place for that. You have to have a place for the things that unite us as a country, our special events and our 4th of July celebrations and things like that. And then you have to have a place for more the classical arts, visual and performing. And it all has to work together. And so previously I said it's not about the money. We want to do the big plan and the vision. Ultimately, it comes back to the money, because budgets are moral documents. Budgets are about priorities, and how we allocate the art spending we have here doesn't just support what we have today, but it determines what we have in the future. And so ultimately, part of once we kind of, here's where we're going, here's how we're going to get everybody to get there, then you have to fund it. And that is going to be an important element. We do direct funding for the arts as a city, but only through our hotel occupancy tax. Many other cities use general fund dollars, and there's just not a history of that in Houston. We have made up for it by amazingly generous philanthropy. And I don't know that we'll be able to depend on that forever. We're going to have, as a community, a discussion about whether we want our tax dollars to go to the arts.
Mayor, we are grateful for your being here on our show today and appreciate your insight. And Allison and Zach, we thank you again for your great participation in our arts and cultural plan, and thank you again for your leadership in getting us going.
Sure.
We are excited about this plan and the continued work to make the arts and culture accessible to all Houstonians for years to come.
The artists, I congratulate you. This is a phenomenal job that you've done. I know the public thanks you for the experience that we are providing. There are some nice choice pieces that are very colorful, imaginative, and large, that really will captivate and capture the imaginations and capture the attention of our passengers as they walk through.
It's really a great privilege for us to work in partnership with the Houston Airport System's Public Art Program to create all of the public art at the airports. Public art at our airports really makes for a very enjoyable user experience and an opportunity to express, who and what Houston is.
It's really important to us to have art, public art, in all of our concourses. But we have a new collection in our international concourse at William P. Hobby that gives part of our culture, part of our art as a gift to those that walk through the airport.
All of the world's great airports have extraordinary art collections, and art is an expression of the human spirit. So to have really beautiful works of art, it's a wonderful welcoming gesture to our international visitors, and creates a absolutely beautiful and thoughtful environment for world travelers to come to land in Houston and to see works that really reflect the community. An example of that is in International Baggage Claim at Hobby International Terminal, is a timeline of the history of aviation in Houston. So while people are waiting for their bags, they can, just turn around and look at this, wonderful artwork where they'll actually learn quite a lot about Houston. We have hundreds of works of art at the airport, including this wonderful piece that I'm standing next to by Libby Masterson. Many of works are commissioned specifically for the airports, and then we're also acquiring more and more small works of art that can be moved around. So art at the airport, it's part of the City of Houston Civic Art Collection, and it's really a part of telling the story of Houstonians for, all of those who travel in and out of the Houston's airports.
The piece I produced for Hobby International Terminal is called Airport Seating, somewhere between here and there. And it's a project that uses language as the seating for the outside section of the airport. The piece, somewhere between here and there, Airport Seating, is made up of 28 cast concrete letters. They each weigh about 800 pounds apiece. I was thinking about the function of airports when I was conceiving of the piece. And I was also thinking about the space that I was given to think about, that my piece would be located in. And it occurred to me that airports are kind of non-sites. They're places that people go to be somewhere else. So they're not really here and they're not really there. There's some place in between. So I came up with this phrase, somewhere between here and there, to describe the airport. Because this is an international airport, I was thinking also a little bit about kind of nationalities and being a nationality, and particularly in the world as it is now with such a global economy, and so in some ways the phrase somewhere between here and there kind of addresses kind of an internationality of a lot of citizens of the world. They don't really belong to one location, they belong to many locations, and so in some ways politically and conceptually they're situated also between a here and a there.
This art, especially the piece behind me by Randy Twaddle, is by a Houston artist. And about 90%, I believe, of our art collection is done by Houston artists. And what this does is show the public, no matter if they're from another country, or if they're from Houston, or if they're from anywhere in the United States, that we have a thriving art community, and that community contributes to the enjoyment of our visitors as they come through the airport by showing them what we have in the way of art.
great working with the artists and their teams. You know, each of these artists have very kind of monumental pieces, so it's not just them, you know, they're designing a lot of the work, but they also have fabricators and installers and, you know, different designers that help them out as well. And just getting to know all of them was probably one of the greatest parts of this piece.
Personally, as an artist, it's just, I mean, it's the biggest audience I'm ever going to have for a piece of artwork. You know, just hundreds and thousands of people traveling through. I know as someone who travels, heading through a building of gray and neutral colors, just any little bit of color or brightness or something beautiful, interesting to look at along the way really breaks up that weary travel experience, and it's just exciting to be able to offer that to travelers.
It's important not only to the community, but to the airport system, to the people that live here in this city, to have art represented for the city, by the city, to our guests that come through the airports.
Don't go away. The Arts and Culture Houston Show will be right back.
So we are here in Houston, Texas, in an area we like to call Graffiti Park. And this area was, it's in a part of town called Edo, which is East Downtown. I am Gonzo247. I am a graffiti street artist here in the city, born and raised, and been doing my thing for about 25 years. And so these couple blocks here is kind of the epicenter of what became Hue Fest. And we're really excited to be able to bring all this color to the streets of Houston. So Hue Fest was, I think Houston's actually, it was the first all-out mural festival for the city. It was definitely a great collaboration with a lot of partners, specifically Houston First was a big part of bringing us together. The CVB really helped to really get the word out. But on top of that, we worked with like the Edo Management District, the Easton Foundation Management District, Washington Arts District, Galveston CVB. We were able to bring a week-long festival that included everything from local artists, regional, national, and international artists. We worked with some great local curators like Dandy Warhol from the Warhouse, and we also worked with Black Cassidy with Free Art Friday. And collectively, they, or Ground Control, I should say, we worked with Black Cassidy with Ground Control, and they were helping us to curate the local artists. On top of that, we were able to bring in great artists from all around the world. We brought in Cope2 from New York, all the way to Risk from LA. We brought in FPLO from Brazil. We brought in Neus from Mexico City. We have artist Tuba from Istanbul. Yeah. It was quite the experience. You know, to bring all these artists in together at the same time for a whole week in the city. It was really cool and impressive to see kind of everything come together, from the blank walls to the sketching, to the filling in, to the final products. And what was cool about it is on any given day we had families showing up. We had, the other day we had like 3 full school buses of junior high kids, and they were just like all over the place. So I think there was a wide range of people that came out to support the event, and also to just see what had going on and support the arts. So the one behind me is one I did for the festival and also for, you know, for Hue Fest. It's a It's definitely an ode to the city. Next to that is one of the more popular walls in this area. It's by an artist named Lee Won, and it says "Sky's the limit." And what's cool about this one, it's literally interactive in the sense that you can stand in front of it and get a picture taken in front of the wall or a selfie. And then the image looks like, or you end up looking like you have these really cool pair of wings and you're taking off in flight. You know, murals in a sense is a mural can tell a story. A mural can tell a story, a million stories. It can tell a story of the artist, it can tell a story of the neighborhood, it can tell a story of what's happening in a certain area. But I think with mural art it doesn't matter your education, it doesn't matter what language you speak. When you look at artwork on the wall, the art is what speaks to you. And everyone gets something different, so as long as the art is pulling out some kind of emotion or some kind of reaction from the viewer, then it's done its job. Houston's really rich with arts and culture. These murals literally represent both sides of that. This is art with this very specific culture behind it. You know, when we worked with planning HueFest, we wanted to make sure that we spread it around the city. We wanted to spread the love as much as possible. So we went all the way from the East End to Edo, and then all the way down to the Washington Corridor, because we wanted to kind of spread it out so that it can be enjoyed by as many people as possible. The other thing I love about the murals is they're outdoors. They're free. Doesn't matter what your economic background is. You're driving around. Anyone can appreciate this wall. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. The art is here for everyone. It's open to the public. You don't even really need any kind of educational background. You just come in, you appreciate it, you look at it, and on top of that, I feel that they are also inspiring, especially to the younger generation. I know when I was growing up, born and raised here in Houston, there wasn't at the time a lot of public art. The one major mural that inspired me to be who I am today was the one in the East End on Canal Street by Leo Tanguma, Rebirth of a Nationality, and that inspired me. So I just only imagine, you know, what if there were 20 times the amount of murals there were in the 70s? You know, how much more could I have been inspired? So now my goal is, with all these murals, is to inspire people, also take pride in their community. You know, you don't necessarily have to be from this area to appreciate these walls, but Houston is a commuter city. People are driving all across town, cutting corners, cutting here and there, and I think it's a wonderful surprise to cut a corner one day and you come back the next day and all of a sudden you have this pop of color. The other thing about, you know, street art in general is it's semi-permanent in the sense that it's there as long as it's there until the next artist comes and repaints it. So it's really cool to be able to come by, check out some artwork, you know, come back a couple weeks later, sometimes a month later, sometimes a day later, and you'll see something totally new, something different. And I think that helps people to appreciate what's here now, because you never know when it's going to change up for something big or better. The response that we got overall was more than we anticipated. Everyone seemed to really enjoy what was happening. So now we're hoping to expand, make it bigger. We are already allocating new spaces, more buildings, more wall space, more square footage, and hopefully if everything works well, we can work with more artists. And again, just really add to that tapestry, the visual tapestry of what makes Houston really cool and inspiring. So the goal is to bring more color to the streets and also spread the love more. So hopefully this time around we can venture out into the Third Ward, we can venture out, you know, to other areas that we weren't able to hit the first time around. So we're really excited about working with our partners. We want people to come in from all over the world because they know HueFest is happening. A huge thanks to the city in general, not only Houston First and all the partners, but overall I think the city finally, and I'm not saying in a bad way, but finally I think the word has gotten out. Yeah. People get it. Yeah. People now are looking for this type of art. We're now, you know, the general public really likes it. You know, people are going on these scavenger hunts to find these walls around the city. I think Houston has really shown that it's matured. You know, it's really impressed me. Every day, there's not a day that goes by that the city doesn't impress me one way or another, and I love every time that happens, and I'm really proud of the city. And yeah, big shout out and thanks to the city in general for accepting this and embracing it and making it what it is. And thank you to HTV.
I want to thank all of our guests for participating in the Arts and Culture Houston show. If you have any story ideas, you can contact the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs at this email address, cultural.affairs@houstontx.gov. Thank you for watching.